When I was in college, I was a film major, and I went to go see everything. I usually got dragged to things like my friend Ari Silber taking me to Blair Witch 2. Thanks a lot, Ari. But now that I'm a father, well, it's a little bit harder to get out to the movies these days, especially if you're not seeing a film with your family. And, well, I'm still way behind even on my summer 2022 movies. I mean, I've made a lot of videos about how much I love dinosaurs and how much I like their history and their cinematic history, especially their art, their action figures, and yeah, well, I still haven't seen the final Jurassic Park movie. I'm going to probably have to wait till this hits some kind of streaming channel. What can I say? As a consulting toy maker, my life gets pretty busy. And as a consulting toy maker, well, that's what I do for a living besides make YouTube videos. This is really just for funsies and to publicize my business. But it's very important that I stay on top of trends, which is why I toy hunt. I mean, not just to find the latest Star Wars action figures, but because I need to be aware of what's happening in all of the aisles, not just the action figure aisle. Knowing what trends to talk to my clients about to help them develop product is what I do. Which is why I felt like, okay, I need to see this new Lightyear movie. With all the buzz, no pun intended, around it, there seems to be a lot of controversy, a lot of opinions. And while I know that it didn't have Tim Allen in it, and kind of really wish it did, but I'll have an actually regroup about that towards the end of the video. The idea of this being the origin of Buzz Lightyear and all that, I felt like we sort of already kind of got that with that cartoon show a few years ago, right? Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, wasn't that sort of the whole point? So is this movie like a reboot of that? I kind of thought this TV show was what Andy saw, right? And this TV show was what inspired him wanting to buy a Buzz Lightyear? Well, now we're told that he saw a movie in 1995, and it was this movie experience which caused him to fall in love with this character and suddenly want to redo his toy room. Now, looking at this team of misfits, including a robotic cat, which I have to say, it's really hard to nail a comedic sidekick and actually make it toyetic. Wow, did they do it. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. But to get a character that actually works, really the thing is, you have to look at this movie from a child's point of view. And we tend to be looking at that from an adult. Andy saw this movie in 1995. Andy, who loved Woody, who grew up with his mom's cowboy hat. You know his mom was Emily, right, from the second movie? People know about that? All right, that's a YouTube video for another time. So Andy fell in love with Buzz and basically transferred Buzz as his number one toy, and that was the whole plot of Toy Story 1, one of my favorite movies of all time. Now, the Lightyear film, when you're looking at this as a child, not an adult, it's amazing. Like, just sort of check your brain out and watch this movie the way a 10-year-old would. Talk about an aspirational super space hero. He's got multiple spacesuits. He's got multiple spaceships. He's got a crew and a team. It's everything, honestly, as a toy maker you could hope for in a movie. I imagine that the folks at Mattel, when they were looking at this license, were jumping for joy. You had a robotic cat sidekick. You had a superhero from space that people already knew. We were just going to get more of him. I completely understand why a 10-year-old in this hypothetical fantasy reality that Andy saw this movie would want Buzz Lightyear as a toy after seeing this movie. Have there been animation movies in the past that haven't exactly been kid-appropriate with adult jokes and humor? 100% situations, but this movie is supposed to take place in 1995, right? Meaning it's the movie that in 1995 Andy watched, and that's what caused him to fall in love with Buzz Lightyear. It says that right in the the prelim to the movie. States that in the opening, I guess, scroll or titles or whatever you want. Like super titles. Scroll would be more Star Wars. Well, 1995 was, sort of a pre-Will and Grace time, if you will, for America. And while it's fantastic that America has evolved, shall we say, over the years, and we've gotten more tolerant, more accepting, more understanding, as we should as a society, and I do believe our society does have a lot of growth still to do, but looking back at 1995, I don't think this whole same-sex relationship would have been in a kid's movie. And whether or not it's appropriate in a kid's movie now, that's not a discussion, because I just want to talk about how kids see this movie. Now, as far as the Tim Allen voicing, well, a few years ago, when I was at Jack's Pacific, we made a talking Darth Vader action figure. And yes, that is me dressed up in my homemade Jedi outfit with my homemade lightsaber, which I'm still pretty proud of. We wanted to have, obviously, original dialogue from the movie, but paying for this, whether it's the existing dialogue or having new dialogue recorded by Mr. James Earl Jones, is incredibly expensive. So we actually had to use Chad Vader. That actually is his name. He is the official Lucasfilm sound-alike for Darth Vader, and he was the one who recorded the lines for the Jakks-specific toy. Or another example, when we did the King Grayskull action figure at San Diego Comic-Con years back, he had a feature where you could open the door of Castle, and he would say, "I have the power!" Does that sound familiar? That's right, because that was my voice modified. We didn't have the resources to track down any files or get any voice actors, so I recorded it. In other words, toys use sound-alikes all the time. So I'm assuming that the Buzz Lightyear toy that came out in '95 that was in Toy Story, that was the sound-alike to the real Buzz Lightyear that was in the 1995 movie. At least, again, as a kid, that's how I would view it. It's going to be up to movie audiences to judge the appropriate nature of plot points. I'm not going to comment on that at all. But just looking at the action, the aspirational nature of the film, to me, that's the big message. And I feel like a lot of people are missing that because they're looking at this movie as an adult. There's a lot of great adult movies that deal with LGBTQ and different, relationships and same-sex couples. I mean, the Wachowski brothers did a fantastic film called Bound. But for kids watching Lightyear, wow. I mean, come on. He's got signature guns and signature laser axes and spacesuits and a robotic cat. I walked out of that movie, or rather finished watching it on Disney Plus, feeling like I wanted to play with a Buzz Lightyear toy. And that was the point. And getting bogged down in anything else, I feel like sort of misses the point of the film. At least that's why I like this movie. I hope my point of view doesn't cause too much controversy, but just adds to the enjoyment of the film and the discussion. If you'd like to share this video, it's most appreciated. It's the best way to show support for this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the toy aisles.